animal attacks and before this video, uh, and there was something because I've been in basically, if you've been following my channel, you know where I stand on the gun rights and stuff like that, and talking about that. And I was doing some research on just like kind of this animal statistics and stuff like that. And I also found another thing that was very interesting about the effectiveness of different things used against different animal attacks. We're going to use the big bad grizzly bear as although it's very statistically unlikely that you'll ever be attacked by a bear, but when they do attack, they can usually. My uncle and I were talking about this today, and I think he put it well. He says, everybody knows the saying, black bears run from you, brown bears run at you. But yeah, that we were talking about the people that we knew that had altercations with just black bears around here. No one's been killed, but like say my great uncle and stuff, he was attacked in the 1950s, and his face is still. He must be pushing like 90. I don't know how old my great uncle is, but anyway, he was telling me a couple of other times of a few guys he knows that were real close, attacked by bears. Even a guy he knows. I kind of know, I think the guy's long dead now, but kind of knew, who killed a bear with his bare hands. He was a real spiteful old bastard, I remember that. A black bear, yeah, I don't know why he would have punched it to death, strangled the snot balls out of it, I don't know. But he actually initiated the attack on the bear. The bear stood up and he just went for him. So, yeah, you're a redneck when, fighting bears, that's cool. Yeah. So anyway, we started talking about that, and I come to think of it, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a couple of months ago, another friend and I were talking about bear attacks, and a buddy of his, who I kind of know who he is to see him, but I never really talked to him. A bear came out. He had his rifle with him. He fired 8 shots, and he hit the bear once. And that's probably pretty accurate whenever they do find somebody who's defended themselves with a bear with a firearm. Usually you shoot the bear and you'll hit the bear once or twice out of a high number of shots, because people don't train to deal with a rushing bear. They panic shoot. They'll shoot when the gun's in the air. They'll shoot it at the ground. You're going to panic, right? So you actually have to kind of train for that. And then I seen another video where the guy made an excellent observation. Well, this is statistical. He was in a national park in the States where you can carry guns, but you can't go into any of the buildings. And what they'd rather you have is bear spray. Now, he looked at the statistics, and I got my BB gun here. Don't worry, it can't get you, and it's a BB gun, so this is perfectly legal. I was too lazy to grab my real gun to have something to look at. But anyway, he was showing that with they done a study of people who defended themselves against bear attacks, say with like a 44 Magnum or any handgun, I guess, and although they shot the bear, like they were just counting the people that actually were able to hit the bear, they still got messed up by the bear a little bit after. Meaning you put 2 shots in them, but the bear still got you. But the bear spray that would shoot like 30 feet and cover an 8-foot circle would almost always get the bear, and 99.9% of the time it would deter the bear. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because, although I'm still for the right to carry this, because a charging bear, like I don't know where the statistic comes from, but I'm assuming, considering what the guy said, it was from a charging a bear attack. Okay? Not a bear about to charge, a charging a bear attack. So the bear's charging, and you just managed to get your shot off before he got you. Maybe you got all 6 shots off, maybe you got 1. But by the time he gets to you, it still takes another 45 seconds for him to drop dead, and he's playing Pinocchio with you till he drops dead. So you still get messed up. Okay. I still want one of these as well as the bear spray. So if the statistic says that the bear spray has a higher success rate, I would want to carry that as well. But I would still probably, although not legal here in Canada without an authorization to carry permit, and almost impossible to get it issued to you, I'm going to probably try next year. I'll get a land lease and see if I can get an authorization to carry for that. But to get a land lease close by is very hard for me as a trapper, because there's not a lot of crown land that's close by that's accessible without crossing other people's property. So you can get into problems like that. And the auction is done by early spring. So I'm going to probably try it for this year to see if I can get an authorization to carry. I doubt they'll ever issue, but I'm going to try just so, I like to gripe and whine about things without testing out to see if, maybe I'll go, can I have one? Yeah, not enough people ask us for them. I don't know why nobody asks us for these authorization carriers. We'd give them out. I mean, we make money off of it. It's like $40 for 1 year, $80 for 2 years here in Quebec. But a lot of people I've talked to have tried, and they haven't had a lot of success. That said, getting back to the original thing, so you got your 44 Magnum. In this case, this is a replica kind of 357 Magnum. It's a BB gun. It's very, very cool. You got your charging bear, deer, moose, coyote, wolf, saber-tooth, squirrel, whatever the hell's coming at you, and you get a shot off at them, but you miss. But the next one you get them, and then you spray first. The spray is the distraction, and then if he gets too close, then you can, use lead poisoning after. So I think in tandem that would be your ultimate security. So I would still say, even if statistically, and I don't know where he got these statistics, but he was a gun owner, okay, who carried a 44 Magnum. But he looked into it. So statistically, this does make sense. And the reason why I believe this guy, because I am a hunter and I am a trapper. Those who follow my channel, you know what I do. And you've probably heard me say this a few times before, that when you shoot something, no matter where you hit it, even if it's the perfect bullseye in the heart, even right between the eyes, sometimes things just don't fall over. Sometimes they do. Most of the time, you never know how an animal is going to react to a shot. And in the case of big bears, a lot of the time and I also heard this statistic, I don't know if it's 100% true, but you can shoot a grizzly bear right between the eyes, okay, and it's dead. But yet, it will carry out the last 18 seconds of what it was going to do before it drops down. It will actually go with that last 18 seconds of memory. How they prove this, I don't know how they prove this. It's some sort of science, Yoda science, Ninja Yoda science that I don't understand. But they've proved somehow, scientifically, even if you shoot a bear in the head, he's 18 to 45 seconds or something like that, that the bear can still carry out what its last kind of thought was. So if his last thought was, I'm going to go and steal a bee's nest and have some honey, maybe he might go do that. But if it was like, I'm going to go mess you up bad, grr, Danny's going to get you. Now, I have seen very few footage of guys shooting bears. There's one that was pretty famous a few years ago on the internet. The guy tried to he saw a bear, he shot it, okay, and just as he shot it, another bear popped up, and it was an old lady with some cubs that was just kind of down below the brush, and she, started charging right away from maybe about 100 yards out. The guy was waving his hands with his rifle. He's like, "Whoa bear," and there was a guy beside him, and he had to shoot, and the bear basically dropped at his feet. He got one shot. It was a good shot, and it dropped at his feet, so he got lucky. I can't remember what shot. It was 30-06 or something like that, maybe 300 Win Mag. It doesn't matter, but he got lucky. He tried to deter the bear, but ears back, brace for impact. Now, I know I'm picking on bears because that's what makes the video good. The terrifying. It's like sharks, bears, and lions and stuff. Nobody cares about the guy who got attacked by like a weasel, or a kangaroo. Even though those things would mess you up, even though you wouldn't think they would. Or the guy who got like killed by like a chihuahua. It's just one of those things. So anyway, I just thought it was an interesting statistic. I thought I should add it and make it second video. I know my statistics weren't very, very good in the last video because I babbled too much. I tend to do that anyway. But about the source I found was, I guess it was a bit of a bears activist site, because some people, they'll pick a specific animal and they'll tote that animal, and it's better than this animal because it's like shark, save the shark, save the wolf, save this. And they'll tell you all. Now, the statistics are usually done by universities and stuff like that, and those statistics that the university usually get by grant researches and data from hunters and trappers and stuff. I don't always get it every year, but sometimes I will get a survey from like the trapping organizations asking us how many did you catch. How many beavers did you catch this year? How many raccoons, whatever? And they just take a survey of what you catch. Now, they probably do a lot of this already through the trapping, the trapping associations anyway. whenever people take their furs to the trade, say, well, they caught this many beaver, this many muskrat, this many whatever. And they get an idea of the animal populations from year to year based upon that. And they can tell if there's a drop or if there's a rise or what have you. That's just one of the tools they use, not the only tool. Obviously, you couldn't use that as the only tool, but that's just one. But as far as attacks and stuff like that, they go by local reports, news stories, and just admitted stuff, So there's a lot of stuff that probably never gets, when I start thinking about it, the amount of people that have actually had bear attacks just in my area, it's actually quite high. It's not super high, but there's at least a couple of people a year that come across a bear. Why? People are in the bush, they're going to come across bears. Wolves and coyotes, not so much. Coyotes a little more than wolves. Big cats, there was a guy a couple of weeks ago had a big cougar underneath his ranch, well, maybe about 3 months ago. And about a week after that, there was another one spotted a couple of towns from here. Last year, I tracked a cougar track twice on my property, or the family land. And then there was, a friend of mine who woke up to a cougar around the Pembroke area growling in his yard. So they're here, about 20, maybe more like 30 or 40 years old ago now. I've been saying 20 years for about 20 years now, so anyway, they let 6 pairs of breeding cougars go in this area for the deer population. The problem is the deer population is taking a major hit with the wolf population being so high. They also do wolf relocation programs here, which I'm totally against that, because about every couple of years they'll let them go, but then every other couple of years the game wardens themselves actually have to come in and start trapping them out because they get too many of them. They won't publicize that, but they do. People, and there's no secrets in a small town. You know what I mean? With that said, when the main food source goes down, wolves, coyotes, bears, anything like that, they expand out to find other food sources, and that's usually the run-ins that people get. Early spring, late fall, that's when people run into bears around here, because that's when they're the most hungry, and that's also when they're looking for the most food. And that's usually when the most food shortages are, is early in the spring and late in the fall. So, with that said, those are your likely times to get attacked. About 750,000 animal attacks of all types occur in Canada and the United States every year. Canadians defend themselves about 60 to 80,000 times a year from animal attacks, pretty much. And then for people, it's usually 34 to 3,600 times a year firearms are used in self-defense against people. Even though people usually get charged for defending themselves, it's pretty much illegal to defend yourself in Canada. They say necessary force, but it's not defined. Article 33 and Article 34 and Article 35 of the Criminal Justice Act will tell you, or system will tell you, the right to self-defense and the right to defense of property. Article 34 and Article 35 of the Criminal Code of Canada. So that's go read those. There's a lot to read, and you have to be able to interpret it like a lawyer, so that it tells you what you can do. It tells you mostly what you can't do to defend yourself. Now, when it comes to animals, it's pretty much yell, "It's coming right at me." Now, something I didn't talk about, and this is very important, that particularly here for Canadians, it may vary from province to province, but the general is this: what constitutes a legal shooting of an animal for pest control or defense or whatever is basically you have to give the animal the option to basically not be shot, scare it away, deter, whatever. You can't attract the animal. Therefore, if you have a garbage can that's easy to get into and you get raccoons, and a game warden catches you shooting raccoons type of thing, you'll say, well, okay, well, you got to, make it harder for them to get the food. You got to remove the food source. Or in other words, and most people in the country do it anyway because they hate cleaning up garbage bags after the clothes that drift apart. So you have to basically, deter the animal from getting into the food source. Bird feeders and stuff like that's a little harder, but, put them up higher, whatever. So you have to deter it. This is from a game warden when I took my hunting course. It was a hunting course. He said it, he goes, basically, if you see a bear and you just shoot it because it was in your yard, you can be charged for that. You can be charged quite heavily. Now, why? Because you're supposed to scare it away first. Now, wait for it to go away or whatever, but if the bear comes, you call the game wardens and the bear, they come and they get the bear, and they will come and get it. They might not come right away, but probably within an hour or two. Anytime we've ever called the game wardens here, they're here like within an hour. You know, it depends on the time of year too. You know, so anyway, with that said, they'll come and get it. They'll tag it with a red tag in the ear, and if the bear comes back and they see a red tag, they just shoot it. If there's a bear with a red tag in the ear, I don't know if civilians can just shoot it, but they will just shoot it because that's what they call a problem bear, and they know it's going to come back. So that's why they say, you know, don't leave out things that'll bring them in, because they don't want to destroy the bear. You know what I mean? And neither do I. You know, if there's no reason for me to shoot it, there's no reason for me to shoot it. You know, and a lot of people don't get that. They think people that own firearms and hunt and trap, that's we're in it for the killing of the animals. No, it's about conservation. It's about stuff they don't understand anyway. But you know, if we don't have to shoot it, we don't shoot it. If I'm not going to eat it, I don't shoot it. If I'm not going to use it for conservation or do conservation, I'm not going to I'm not going to target that animal. Now, if an animal makes for you, no problem. But let's say the bear runs across the ditch and you shoot him and he drops on the other side of the ditch, you'll probably be charged because the bear was trying to get away. You know, so that's pretty much what they say. You know. Now, another thing is, I also said that you're worse off to get attacked by a black bear than a brown bear, because a brown bear might be just charging at you to show his territory, come up, give you a swipe. He might kill you in the process, and just kind of show you who's boss. But he doesn't really fear you. You just, get out of my territory, that type of thing. Unless he's actually hungry, then he's going to kill you. But a black bear, because a black bear, like I said before, brown bears run at you, black bears run from you. If a black bear feels threatened enough that he can't run away, then he's going to fight you to kill you. He's not going to fight you because he's trying to get territorial or anything like that. He's going to fight you because he's scared for himself. So he's going to fight you until you're dead. That's what a black bear does. And I've seen people that feed black bears. Oh, look how tame they are. They're a beautiful animal, but stay the hell away from them. They are so darn fast, and when they get a hold of you, they will rip you from shred. These things pull up tree stumps to get rubs. I mean, if you've ever seen a bear rip up or stump that, the next time I find a stump in the bush that a bear ripped up, like the destruction, and these are things that you have a hard time taking apart with an axe. It might be an old stump that's rotted. Yeah, they'll just rip it to shreds. But there's parts of the stump where it's like, okay, well, you need an axe to do that, and he'll just rip that apart as if it's nothing. Their strength is unbelievable, and it's just their endurance as well. So just something to keep in mind. So I guess with those statistics, just so you know what that okay, pepper spray is a good option, but it'd be nice to have this as the backup. I'd use basically the pepper spray is the smoke screen, and then if you had to, you could. But if pepper spray is a better option, then I would recommend bear spray. Now here in Canada, bear sprays you can get them in most places, but you can't carry it on you for two-legged defense. If you do, you're going to get charged and probably do a lot of jail time. It's just the way our laws are; they suck. But if it is an option. Now, how well would it work against a charging bull moose? I think you'd still get stampled anyway. If you don't get out of the way, you're going to get stampled. I'm more afraid of coming up against a cougar or a moose, even though very unlikely to have that ever happen. But it's not if. It's kind of like the reason why you have a fire extinguisher in your house. It's not that you want your house to burn down or you're paranoid it's going to burn down. It's if it starts burning, I want the right tool for the job. So the statistics, I think, are probably pretty obvious that to me, I believe that very, very much, that you would probably, even if you were able to get all 6 shots off into him, even with a high powered, say like a 44, a charging bear with the adrenaline going would probably still have enough to at least smack you around for a few seconds before it died. Other times, you might get lucky and drop it in one shot. That's the way animals are. They're unpredictable. Cougars, probably about the same. Cougar attacks are actually quite high. There are about 6,000 of them per year, probably about 3,000 of them in Canada, but the deaths are quite low. Most of these are out west. It's usually people jogging in the morning, and again, with women and children being the highest. Children just because they're simply smaller, women because they tend to fall down when they're attacked. So you see a bear or a coyote or a wolf or anything like that, don't run, don't fall down. Educate yourself on how to act around animals. That's the biggest thing that usually incites the attack is your posture and how you respond to the animal. I've seen videos of people have black bears climb up into the tree stand right at their feet and say, and they go, "Hey, what are you doing?" And the bear's like, "Ooh," and it runs away. Another time, like even with grizzlies, just how, people walking in a big group together, shoulder to shoulder, you can walk between 100 starving grizzly bears and they wouldn't even touch you because they don't know what you are. And because you present such a centipede-long trail, they don't differentiate that there's like 20 people walking. They think it's like one big caterpillar, you know what I mean? And they won't touch it. However, you break from that pack, you know what I mean? You're going down. Wolves are the same, you know, that type of thing. All right, so I guess I'll leave it at that. Rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Hope you enjoyed. And any stories you got, post them down below. Always like stories. Okay, hi and welcome again. I did a video on animal attacks and before this video. And there was something, because I've been in, basically, if you've been following my channel, you know where I stand on the gun rights and stuff like that, and talking about that. And I was doing some research on just like kind of, well, it's animal statistics and stuff like that. And I also found another thing that was very interesting about, you know, the effectiveness of different things used against different animal attacks. We're going to use the big bad grizzly bear as, although it's very statistically unlikely that you'll ever be attacked by a bear, but when they do attack, they can usually... my uncle and I were talking about this today, and I think he put it well. He says, you know, like, everybody knows the saying, brown bears, black bears run from you, brown bears run at you. But yeah, you know, we were talking about the people that we knew that had altercations with just black bears around here. No one's been killed, but like, you know, like say my great uncle and stuff, he was attacked in the 1950s, and his face is still, he must be pushing like 90. I don't know how old my great uncle is, but anyway, he was telling me a couple of other times of a few guys he knows that, you know, where you know, real close, you know, attacked by bears. Even a guy he knows, I kind of know him, I think the guy's long dead now, but kind of knew, who killed a bear with his bare hands. He was a real spiteful old bastard. I remember that. You know, I mean, a black bear. I mean, yeah, I don't know why he would have punched it to death, strangled the snot balls out of it. I don't know. But he actually initiated the attack on the bear. The bear stood up and he just went for him. So like, yeah, you know you're a redneck when yeah, fighting bears. That's cool. Yeah. So anyway, we started talking about that, and I come to think of it, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a couple of months ago, another friend and I were talking about bear attacks, and a buddy of his, who I kind of know who he is to see him, but I never really talked to him. A bear came out. He had his rifle with him. He fired 8 shots, and he hit the bear once. And that's probably pretty accurate whenever they do find somebody who's defending themselves with a bear with a firearm. Usually you shoot the bear and you'll hit the bear once or twice out of a high number of shots, because people don't train to deal with a rushing bear. You know, they panic shoot. They'll shoot when the gun's in the air. They'll shoot it at the ground. I mean, you're going to panic, right? So you actually have to kind of train for that. And then I seen another video where the guy made an excellent observation. Well, this is statistical. He was in a national park in the States where you can carry guns, but you can't go into any of the buildings. And what they'd rather you have is bear spray. Now, he looked at the statistics, and I got my BB gun here. Don't worry, it can't get you.